Good morning, everyone. I'm Olga Adler from Austin Businesswoman, and I'd like to open this broadcast with a statement: burn on, not out. A very powerful statement, and it happens to be the title of the new sensational book by Brooke Dukes, our special guest today, an Austin based entrepreneur, professional coach, business consultant, public speaker, and most important, mother. And I can't wait to ask Brooke all about the new book and the journey behind her life and behind her mission. Hi, Brooke. Thanks for being here with us.
Hi, Olga. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course, it's a true honor, and we're so excited about your new book. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became a writer and all the things that I mentioned before?
All the things. Um, it's in my book, my kind of how I started. I was in corporate America to begin with for, I'm going to say 15 years or so in various, leadership positions. And really found for me, what corporate America did for me was it fed my workaholic tendencies, right? Because that's what when you're working hard, especially as women, we tend to feel like if I just work, if I can outwork them, then I'll get that promotion or I'll get that. And as we know, that's it's not about right the working hard piece of it. And so when I found myself on a corporate jet and preterm labor with my second child, and she was fine, so I can laugh about that now, but and I can be really grateful for it as well because what it did for me was it helped me to recognize that my world was upside down. Because if you looked at me at that point in my life, even though I was pregnant with my second child, I had a fabulous husband and the dog on the the whole bit, but you would still think that the only thing I cared about was success and my career, money, and it couldn't have been further from the truth. But because I was living outside of my values, right? I was so focused on if I work hard now and I'm doing this for my family and all the things that we're told, then I'll be able to relax and enjoy it later. And I woke up that today in the hospital and recognized that, you know what, that's I have to change because that's not true, right? It's not about we have to enjoy life now. We have to work hard, but we have to really look at what are our values, what's important to us, what lights us up, what fulfills us. And so I found for myself, I've been through that process. That wasn't the first time. It happened a few different times as I would get so involved in something. And I mean, I gave myself shingles and COVID at the same time.
Oh no.
I mean, it's just so I wrote this book really to help women that find themselves in the same place. They wake up one morning and they're like, you know what? I'm not as happy as I thought I should be. I've reached this level of success and I thought I would feel this way, and I don't. But I have no idea what to do about it because so many of us believe that you can either have success or fulfillment. No, you can have success and fulfillment. So, sorry, that was a long explanation, but hopefully that answered your question.
No, absolutely it did. And I can relate so much, and I'm sure everyone who's watching can relate. Um, I know that the subtitle of the book is Finding Fulfillment Beyond Success. And I wanted to ask you about it. Sometimes people think that burnout happens when you are not successful, when you're stuck in the rut and you're trying to do all the right steps, but it's just not working out. And then you burn out and you hopefully move on or persevere and you get successful. But you're saying that there are so many people who achieve success, but they burn out anyways.
Yes, I think burnout is an equal opportunist. It can
Mm.
be anyone. It can be, someone who is striving for that success, and it can be someone that is successful because here's the thing, so many times we're like, well, especially for entrepreneurs, I'm going to work hard now, and then I'll get to this point and I can relax. Well, the way you start it is typically the way that you end it. It's very hard to stop that. So one of the things that I teach is start it with the end in mind, right? Start your business, create your career around the lifestyle that you want to live, not thinking that you're going to then create the lifestyle later on. right? And I'm talking time. You have to set aside. Self-care is, in my opinion, one of the most important things for a successful business owner, executive, entrepreneur. Because when we take care of ourselves, when we are working, we are so much more effective, efficient, productive, like we are on. You get more done in less time. And that's where the mindset shift has to happen, is thinking, getting more done during the time in less time requires me to take care of myself, to set healthy boundaries, to really look at how I'm going to structure my life so that when I'm on, I am on and I'm fired up and I'm ready to go.
This is very powerful, giving me goosebumps because it's so true. And we all start with a mindset of thinking, well, I'll work hard now, I'll ignore my own mindfulness, my own mental and physical health, and then I'll relax once I'm there. But unfortunately, there is no miracle waiting for you there on the
Well,
top
and
of
it's
the
not, because here's the thing, the first heart attack will typically kill a woman. We know men, they can't, they can have several heart because their body is built more for stress. Biologically, they're the hunters, right? We're the nurturers. So, yes, it's wonderful that women have opportunities for these amazing careers. But what a lot of times happens is we don't let any of the other things go. Our home duties, our family duties, our children. Like, we need to get support for ourselves. We have a lot of times, myself included, have a career, and I just piled on all the things that was happening also from a stay-at-home mom's perspective. I didn't give myself the support that I needed that men give themselves, right? They are better sometimes at the boundaries, at doing all of that. And we really have to look at, our health is very important. We have to be careful. Like, stress is the number one killer for men and women, and it's creeping up for women because our stress levels are getting so high that we have to look at, what does my body need? So many times we ignore I can't tell you how many times I've sat there and I probably had to use the restroom for an hour, but I just ignored my body because I was in the flow and I was working. And that's a simplified explanation, but like, we forget and we're closing down that intuition, and we're just working from up here, which is typically those decisions made just from the head. They're conditioned responses, right? They're based on past experiences, maybe even past traumas. Where decisions made from our intuition and from our body, those are real. Those are the ones that, when we make decisions from there, they're in beautiful alignment with who we want to become and what we want to accomplish.
That actually, what you just said, it tapped into the question that I was about to ask about how it looks like women seem to be more prone to burnout. And I guess that's because we have been trying for so many years to mimic what men were doing, to be equal to them in the workforce and in our societal position. But at the same time, we're not letting go. So we have that pile of things. Do you think we should learn more from men how to set boundaries and just not pile it all up? Or do we need to find our own strategy as women to prevent and fight burnout?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for that. Because I feel that with women, a lot of times, especially women of my age, right? When we moved into corporate America, there were so very few positions at the top for women. So we really thought about that, working like men and then more. We have to outwork them so that we're shown as worthy and valuable enough. And we would compete with other women, because if there's only one spot left up there for a woman, well, then you have to compete with that woman. So it made it so that, yeah, we were working ourselves too hard. We were way too stressed. We put too much on ourselves. We weren't supporting each other. We weren't mentoring each other. We weren't lifting each other up. So it made everything so much harder. And you're absolutely right. We have to learn what our boundaries are. Because one of the things that I also think that, yes, women, we have been held back. I'm not denying that. And we also have to take some responsibility in that. When we don't use our natural gifts, we are the strongest creatures on this planet. We can provide life, right? And we also are amazing influencers because women understand emotions, right? And so when we start using our feminine side and not just masculine frequency is very go, 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 get it, drive, action, and there's nothing wrong with that. And it works very well, but not if that's your only mode. So many times women have just taken on that masculine frequency and stamped down their feminine frequency, which is more of the communicator, the peacemaker, right? All of that. And we need to have that natural blend again that fits in with our own natural personalities, right? Some women have more male frequencies, some have more feminine. I'm not saying there's not a one size fits all. To your point, really slowing down to listen to what are the boundaries that you need, because what you need, Olga, may be very different than what I need. So that's important. I think there's no cookie cutter way to do it. It's every way is just slowing down and listening to yourself and trusting that you have, help from all around you and that it will lead you in the right way.
Well, I guess what I'm hearing is there is no silver bullet, and complex problems don't have simple solutions. So, unfortunately, it takes people a long time to acknowledge they have this issue and then to do something about it. And I know in your book you shared that you learned the lessons the hard way, because at some point you had your own wake up calls and your own pivots when you realized that you need to change things. Uh, could you share some of the moments when it was really the realization hit you?
Yeah, in the book, one of the stories I tell. There's a few of them, but one of the stories I tell is, as I said, on the corporate jet. What happened with that was I was working for a Fortune 500 company. I had a team of 25 under me, and we were working on a big deal. It was a $500 million deal for my company, and we've been working on it for a year and a half. And what I was 8 months pregnant at the time.
Wow.
And so the CEO of the company wanted us to fly our team out to the site that we were doing work on. And it was in IT. We were doing some IT outsourcing. And I prepped my right hand person to go in my place. And my boss at the time said, "That's fabulous if you want her to have your bonus as well," which was a 6-figure bonus. And so I did get on the corporate jet and I went into preterm labor on the way back. So for me, and so many people say, "Oh my gosh, did you sue? You did that?" No, I didn't, because what I recognized was I was grateful once my daughter was fine. I was grateful for the opportunity. That was one, right? That was one time. And I go into more detail in the book. And other times have been because it wasn't just one time. After that, as I said, I gave myself COVID and shingles. And sometimes part of my teachings is on human design. I'm a manifesting generator, which means I'm put here to work and do things that light me up. But the flip side of that coin is it also leads me to workaholism at points when I'm not in state, right? When I'm really working and conditioning and I'm not paying attention to my body and I'm on automatic pilot. And so I found myself again waking up and thinking, okay, this is not what I wanted. This isn't what I've thought in my life, right? That I would be happier, I would be this, I would be that. And so there's so many times, so many crossroads that I've had. I had a divorce. I talk about that in my book, and from an amazing man, right? Who on the outside I should have been blissfully happy. But because we wanted to live different lives and go down different paths, it wasn't working. That was a really the hardest decision I've ever had to make. So many times, and if we're not listening to ourselves, if we're just making decisions out of fear, right? Or out of, then we're not, we'll make a decision in the wrong place. So my book is really about helping people, giving them the tools and the techniques, telling my story, right? I've started 4 businesses. I've sold one. I've been a partner and a consultant. I've done a lot. And I have also been in burnout, in overwhelm, very sick, relationships that didn't work out, because a lot of times when you're driving for that success, personal and professional relationships along the way, they aren't working out. right? They're struggling. You're struggling to keep that because so much of your life is being overtaken. And for me, it was because I felt unworthy. I had to keep proving to everyone that I was valuable, right? And the way that I saw to do that, because I learned it from conditioning as a child, I was, a physically and emotionally abused child from a man that wanted a boy. Well, go figure. I was a workaholic and striving for success and constantly trying to prove myself. But my story isn't unique. And that's what I really wanted to share. As women read the book, so many times they're not, yes, there's amazing information and techniques, but they're just grateful that I was honest, that I told my story, that I wasn't afraid. And I feel like that's what we have to do. We have to step up and empower each other. We have to have self-empowerment, which is all that BMD consulting does, is help people to become, right, to be self-empowered, to live towards their dreams, to creating fulfillment and success. So I feel for just stepping out and acknowledging, yeah, I'm not perfect. I don't want to be perfect. Perfectionism kills women. Imposter syndrome, right? We're all trying, and that comes from a lot of women that have been abused. Imposter syndrome is really, it's a big thing for them because typically as an abused child, you're trained to show that everything's perfect on the outside so that no one knows, so that then even though your world is crashing on the inside, and we take that into our adult lives. And so really just helping people to say, you know what, we're all kind of a mess, it's okay, and there's something you can do about it.
Wow. That you just spoke from the hearts of so many people, and it's so true. And you probably see it in the workplaces that you touch in your consulting job, that you sometimes enter a room full of very young professionals, and especially young women who are trying to prove themselves, and all they're getting inspiration from. I think it's a little bit of a toxic culture that glorifies overworking.
Yes.
And it's the 5 a.m. club where you have to sleep less, you have to wake up early, you have to have 2, 3 jobs and side gigs and hobbies and education and 3 college degrees and everything. What do you tell those women who are stuck in this spiral while they still have the energy? Maybe they're so young that they can pull off sleepless nights, but how do you caution them to kind of pull back a little?
Well, it depends on but one thing, and I wanted to just step back for a minute, and you're so right. How many times I've done it myself. So when people, how are you? Oh, I'm so busy. It's like this badge of honor. I'm so busy, therefore I'm so important. I did that for years because we don't recognize a lot of times how important the language we speak. Because how does our mind work? Our mind speaks through, it works through language, primarily the language that we're speaking to it. So that's self-talk, which a lot of times after the age of 9, that self-talk is criticism, right?
Mm.
It's shame, it's judgment, it's guilt. And so we keep that going on. So with that, and I've completely lost my train of thought here. Women that are overworking right now and on the grind. I got back to it. So with that, I try to just tell stories, and I also try to show them evidence of how you actually could be more successful if you slow down, because there'd be less missteps. You would 100% be happier, which Harvard and so many have done so many studies. Happy employees, happy leaders are more productive and efficient. That's fact, right? That's studies. So it's showing evidence. Every time that you really want to change, there's a few things you have to do, because there's only, some say, depending upon what you're reading, there's really 30% at most of us have actual innate willpower. The rest of us have to build habits over time. So that means small bits, commitment and consistency over time to change a habit, to change a limiting belief, to change that thought frequency, because it's a very scarcity mindset, right? In that I have to work hard and I have to grind and I have to get out there and I have to ignore my body. that is, you're actually going to always be less successful. Even if you're successful, you would be more successful if you were living in a more abundant frequency of, I'm going to listen to my body. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to take action when, for me, being a manifesting generator, I have to, any big decision, I need to sleep on it because I'm an emotional being. And I have to wait for those emotions to subside before I can see anything clearly. And so usually overnight and during that time, I'll be like, you'll be thinking, yes, it's a no, it's a no. And it becomes clearer once that excitement, that emotional wave passes. But it's not the same with everyone, right? You need to know what your own inner authority is and really listen to that. And the other thing is giving our brain evidence that change is good. Because what happens whenever we want to change anything, so whenever I'm working with someone, I let them know there is what's called an evolution of growth. And with that, at the beginning of anything, so let's just take driving a car, right? You're 16 years old, well, you're 15 years old, and you want to drive a car. All you see is the freedom that is going to give you away from your parents. I'm going to go on dates, whatever the case may be, but it is a must. You want to be a driver. You're in excitement phase. You're unconsciously incompetent, right? So your brain does not know that what it's going to take to be a driver. No, it's not. All it sees is at the end, I'm a driver. I'm getting away from my parents, right? I have freedom.
Absolutely.
Well, then you go on your driver's training and you're like, whoa, this is what hands at 10 and 2, right? And you're death grip on these things and you just no radio, nothing. You're just thinking, gosh, forget about it going off on an exit or getting onto the highway. And you're shocked at how hard this is. My 85-year-old grandma drives. What's going on with me? Well, then all the doubt starts coming in, right? Your mind starts, oh my God, you're going to be the only kid in your class that doesn't drive. You're dumb. You're this, you're that. What's wrong with you? All of it. So you are consciously incompetent at this point. You know exactly what you don't know and you're scared. What people miss is this is a crucial step in the evolution of growth because your unconscious mind is throwing that self-doubt because it doesn't want you to change. Its role is to keep you safe and to your heart pumping and all of that. So even if it's good change, it's trying to make you stay where you are. But right at that point, you have a decision. Are you going to turn back or are you going to keep moving forward? Well, when you were going to be a driver, you were keeping going forward because that was it. So you hit the determination phase. You were determined to be a driver. So you are consciously competent. And what that means is it's still not easy. You're still 10 and 2. Even once you get your driver's license, you don't even want the radio on. You don't want anyone talking. You have got to concentrate and focus on driving, right? Until you get to the last phase, which it's accomplishment. You are a driver, right? You are unconsciously competent, meaning that how do we drive now? We drive now, many people with their knee, putting on makeup, eating a sandwich. How many of you have gotten in your driveway and thought, how did I get here? Because your unconscious mind took over and just did it while you were thinking other thoughts. You were driving home. So that is the biggest thing with people is helping them understand you're going to have doubts come in. Your self-talk's going to be awful. You're going to hit that phase and celebrate. Because if you didn't hit that phase, it would mean you weren't changing, you weren't growing, you weren't evolving. So you set the goal isn't to jump across and just never have doubt and get to determination and then have accomplishment. That's not going to happen. The goal is to keep that doubt to a minimum. Don't get stuck in that phase forever, sleepless nights on the hamster wheel, or worse yet, quit, right? Recognize it, celebrate it's happening. I'm changing, what I'm doing is working. I'm determined, I'm going to keep going. So hopefully that helps.
That's so much to unpack. And I think it gives a glimmer of hope to people who are on a path. And you know how it happens when people like, I'm burnt out. I hate this job. I hate this life. I'm going to quit everything. I'm going to finish. Is it possible for people to just change their perspective, change their habits and how they work and their lifestyle, and persevere in the same path without like radically just erasing all of their prior accomplishments.
Oh, absolutely. And that's that a lot of times when people come to me, they will be like, they're so burnt out, right? That let's say they were an executive or they're a business owner and they're like, I'm just so burnt out. I just want to go sit and meditate somewhere. Well, that's just the burnout speaking, right? You don't have to blow up your entire life to make changes and to have more happiness and less burnout. In fact, it's better if it's just like what I explained, it's small steps, right? It's small. I use a lot of times with meditation. Most people that don't meditate but have tried, because we all know if you talk to some of the most successful, happiest people in the world, one of their top 5 habits is meditating. And yet only 17% of the world meditates. Why? Because we start out thinking, okay, I'm going to meditate tomorrow, 20 minutes, boom, go. Well, the evolution of growth sits in, right? And about 3-4 days in, you're like, I'm not getting anything from this.
Mhm.
This is boring. I'm doing it wrong. All the things come up.
I
And
have the wrong brain. I'm
exactly,
incapable.
I can't quiet my mind, all the stuff, right? Whereas if you started with, I'm going to start with 2 minutes a day, and then I'm going to do that for 21 days. If I miss a day, I got to go back to the beginning. Once you have 21 days consecutively, add a minute and then do it for another 21 days. It's small, gradual steps. Same thing if you're wanting to change your life. You don't need to blow everything up. And that's why we had such great feedback from the book and so many people saying, I want more. And we created a program and it launches May 6th. And it's called the Fulfillment or the Foundation of Fulfillment. And it's for people that want to dive deeper, right? Because the book it's an easy read, a lot of heartfelt stories with some techniques in there. And if you want to go deeper, we wanted to give people the opportunity to be able to do that as well.
Well, do tell us about the new program. And in the meantime, I'm gonna put up the QR code to purchase the book that we're talking about, and I'm sure the program is gonna be mind blowing.
We're so happy about it. It really helps people to understand, right? What is their mission in life? What's the work that they were put here to do? What's going to light them up? And that's the thing. You had mentioned that before in your previous question. Like, you don't need to give up everything. You don't need to give up all the wealth and success to be happy. We can have a happy medium. So many people think I'm going to have to go live in a cardboard box if I give it. No, we can do, right? And then you want to look at, what are the life lessons that you were put here to solve? What are those things that keep showing up in your life? Well, if they keep showing up in your life, then that means that is a lesson that you're not learning. And so it keeps being put in your life until you can learn that, right? What are the blocks? What are the things that are blocking your fulfillment or your success? Really looking at what environment works best for you. What are the type of people that feed you? Do you work best one-on-one, by yourself? Do you work best in groups, small teams, like all of that, really helping you to fully understand what it is, where you're going to thrive. And then finally, purpose. A lot of people think purpose is a doing. It's not. Purpose is a being. It's a state of being. So what being, right? Who do you need to be, grow into to live your highest fulfillment in your life? And so it is a weekly module program. It's a 6-week program. And we will have weekly coaching calls with one of my amazing master trainers. And so that people can, because it's new information, you're going to learn about human design and how it fits into business and your personal life and psychology and behavioral science and neurolinguistic programming. It's a beefy program. And so that way you can go on this weekly call, regardless of when you started the program, and you can ask questions and you can dive deeper and you can integrate what you're learning into your actual life. And so anyone that's interested can go to our website and, you can, anything that you're interested, they'll have a landing page there for the program. Well, also, if you want blogs, you want to get more information, just sign up. for our newsletter, and you'll get all the information that you need to be able to sign up for our program. It launches May 6th, but you can join anytime after that.
That's fantastic news. And we're going to link the website to the platform you're watching this broadcast on. It's either LinkedIn or YouTube. You can find all the information. There is a QR code for purchasing the book. And I won't let you go, Brooke, without a little tip of the day. Since you talked about small baby steps on the evolution of growth, can you share one little tip for that everyone could start with today?
Perfect. And I will send you a QR code for the program too. And I didn't do that before, so you'll have that as well. I would say one tip. One of the things I find, and this isn't something easy, and I feel that it really helps people to just start the process of being kinder to yourself and really being more aware, is I will oftentimes ask a client to carry or either use their phone in their notes section or carry a little notepad or whatever, and just be aware of how many times a day you have negative self-talk. How many times a day, and it's just about awareness, right? Because awareness is 70% of growth, because we have to be aware of something before we can change it. And especially for women, I feel that we have the most limiting beliefs when it comes to particular areas of our life. And we really, and all of us, all humans, not just women. And I'm speaking to a lot of women now. So, look at when you're saying, if you look in the mirror, oh, God, I look fat. Or, oh my gosh, I can't do that. Or I'm dumb, or I'm not smart enough, or all of those things. Just be aware of it, right? It really helps. So when you see that, and you can either, just mind dump it at the end of the day, think about the antithesis of that. And so if you see a pattern of something coming up, some negative, because any I am statement that you say to yourself tells your brain that's your identity. That's who you are. And the strongest force in nature is holding true to the identity you hold of yourself. So that's why it's so very important. You have to change those. So if you are saying, I am not enough, the antithesis is, I am enough. You have to start changing those. And they're just habits that we have, right? We'll start changing those, because when you start changing the way that you view yourself, right, so will others. Your life will, just that small thing will start your life to change in a positive direction.
Say that again. Wonderful tip. And I'm already feeling a lot of negativity leaving the room. Thank you so much, Brooke. The phenomenal Brooke Dukes and her amazing new book, Burn On, Not Out. Thank you, everyone.